Good morning, everyone. How
Hello.
you guys doing? It is nice and wet and rainy and cold out today. And we're going to basically answer a lot of questions, and we have a lot of good questions up already. But anything that we say is not meant to diagnose you or cure you. If you become cured, don't mention our name. It's just meant for your education and entertainment.
Education.
All right, good. So I'm just going to jump right in. Bassam had a question regarding from Toronto, 9-year-old with migraines. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Hi, doctor.
Hi.
How you doing? I hope everything's fine with you. I love your show and I follow you very much.
Awesome.
Most of your clips.
Thank you.
And my little daughter, she just kind of developed this migraine, abdominal migraine, a couple months ago. And as the doctors here, they just diagnosed this to her. So I don't know if there's anything like this or not. And
How old
secondly,
is your daughter?
I would love.
How old is your daughter?
She's 9 years old.
9. Did she have her period yet or not? Sometimes kids get it younger.
No, not yet.
Okay. Does she have any digestive issues?
Not really. She didn't mention or she complained about anything. But the doctors, as about 4 doctors I went through, and they told me it might be a digestion problem. But they gave her all kind of lactuloses and all these things to make the digestion better and keep the bowel movement better, and it was okay. And even we used the enema doses for her about 3 times, and she was okay. Now she has a regular bowel movement, and even the stool looks very normal.
Okay, so this is what I would recommend. I would. There's a couple things that are related. It sounds like there's some digestion related. So many headaches come from gallbladder issues. Not saying she has stones, but it's just the diet. Of course, I would get her on the right diet. You know what I'm talking about, keto and intermittent fasting. But here's the thing. There's a nerve that actually goes from the diaphragm right on top of the gallbladder area, and it goes right up into the neck, into up through here, and then in the shoulder. So what can happen is that if there's some type of pressure going on down here in the gallbladder from something related to digestion, that puts pressure and it causes pain right up here on the right side of the head. So there's a great technique that you can go to. It's on YouTube, and it's called the gallbladder flush. Just type in Dr. Berg, gallbladder flush. Do that technique, and that should help you relieve the headache. And then watch the other videos on the gallbladder, because it's really, she needs to change the diet. And I know a lot of kids, they don't eat like they should, and that's probably related to the ultimate cause, the root cause of the headache. But watch my videos on gallbladder. The other cause could be an old injury to the head. I show you what to deal with on that, but that's what I would do if I were you. Good question. All right, so now Shannon from Riverside, California, had a question about the sea kelp, or actually you had a comment about the sea kelp. Are you there?
Yes. Good morning, Dr. Berg and Karen. It is a great honor to talk to you both.
Hi.
Great.
I have 2 things I want to talk to you about, but first, I want to thank you and your team for developing sea kelp. I discovered about 10 years ago that I have 2 large ovarian dermoid cysts. And taking this product eliminates my pain.
Wow. Wow, that's fantastic.
I can't express how much thanks I have for you and your team who have developed this, because I've lived with this pain for 10 years and I am not in any more pain because I take this product.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's awesome.
It is. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I also want to say that I've lost, thank you. I also want to say I've lost 30 pounds just from intermittent fasting.
Wow.
Since summer.
Great job.
And thank you. But my other question I have for you that I have a concern for is I've had a lot of injuries to my left shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a slap tear to my left shoulder. I popped a rib out in my left shoulder. Now I have tendonitis in my left shoulder. And I want to know if there's, besides chiropractic care and proper diet, is there something else I could be doing besides stretches and physical therapy? Is there any kind of mineral or anything else that can help my tendon?
There's a lot of things you can do for that. I'm going to give you a couple things right now. And but I want to just mention about sea kelp. It's a good source of iodine, natural iodine, which actually helps to counter estrogen dominance, which improves, supports healthy ovary function, breast function, and so it just helps to support that area. And that's probably why you're feeling much better. And the quality of the sea kelp is it's certified organic, and it's from Iceland, so it's a real high-end quality brand. You don't want to get sea kelp from a polluted ocean. Now, the other thing is with your shoulder pain, especially if it's from an injury, the best thing to do is to work on the good side, the opposite side, and I show people how to do it. So you work on, if it hurts on the left side, you work on the exact mirror image on the right side, and you would want to have someone do irregular kind of motion or massage, and then while they're working on the right side, have yourself, just move the left shoulder, and you're going to find that pain just going to clear right up. It just kind of helps to balance the nerves that split up from the brain that go to both sides. I'm not going to get into like why it works, but it just works. You have to try it, stretching the opposite muscles. The other thing is, if you look on my videos, I have a lot of videos on increasing your repair and your recovery. I would follow those videos because there's a lot of things that you can do for that. Thanks for your call. All right, Karen.
Yes.
Do we have some good questions coming in?
Yes, we do.
Good.
Okay. How would intermittent fasting help acne?
Well, intermittent fasting and keto together drop insulin. And insulin is behind, especially in females, it's behind the increase of androgens, which is the male hormone that if a woman has too much, they're going to get acne, cystic acne, because it creates more oil in the face and more bacteria. And so by doing fasting, you're going to drop insulin, and you're going to instantly help to normalize androgens, so the acne will go away. So that's why it works.
Okay. So that's anybody, any age?
Yeah, usually, there's no age cutoff.
No cutoff. Okay, good. So here's one from Facebook. How would keto and intermittent fasting help memory, and why?
Sorry, I forgot about that. No, I'm just kidding. So first of all, when you're doing fasting, you're stimulating certain genes that are turning on that are improving brain function. And it's like a survival mechanism. You actually regrow neurons. It's neuroprotective. Ketones act as antioxidants. So it's the best thing for brain repair. Now, have you heard about epilepsy and how they used to use the ketogenic diet for kids who have epilepsy? Mm-hmm. But there's some complications because the GI tract is a problem. Well, if you look at what they fed these kids, and they still do, I think, it's not a high quality, foods. It's just like oils, and there's not a lot of vegetables. It's like, and that's the real problem. So if you're doing the healthy version of keto, it's going to be very beneficial. But the fact that they use, in the medical profession, the ketogenic diet for seizures tells us that it's good for the brain. Okay, but yeah. I just want to mention ketones. Ketones are not some new thing. It's been around for a very long time. I'm talking like on this planet, billions of years. Well, at least a couple billion years. Even like small microorganisms run off ketones. And people don't realize that. In fact, when you are born, the first fuel that your body is using is ketones. So it's not something new, it's not a fad, it's something that our bodies are just designed to use. And way back as this planet and the microorganism was developing, and there was microorganisms running off of ketones, the environment was very low in oxygen. So ketones provided a different fuel that you could run your body on lower levels of oxygen. In fact, if you compare glucose with ketones, glucose ketones require less oxygen, produce more work output than glucose. So it's a much better fuel, and it's been around. Our bodies are naturally supposed to use it, and it's not some like new thing that, oh, I'm going to do the ketogenic diet. Well, actually, it's just a normal thing for our bodies to use. I just want to throw that out there.
That was good. So it's not a fad.
No, it's like our bodies are designed to run on ketones. I do want to mention one thing too. The most the most susceptible time for an infant is when they're born, is having this low oxygen in the brain. It's called hypoxia, because when this baby is coming out and there's, the baby sometimes is it's not breathing, and you have to all of a sudden trigger it, and all of a sudden they start breathing. Mm-hmm. It's a very vulnerable time to have damage to the brain. But I think one of the reasons for ketones is to flood the brain with less of a need for oxygen so it can survive better.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
So I'm going to go to Indiana. Shauna, your husband is suffering from the keto rash. So tell us about that. What's happening?
Yes. Yes. Hi, Dr. Berg. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes. We are doing keto, and we're doing keto for 1 year. Mm-hmm. And my husband lost 60 pounds, and
wow.
he's doing OMED right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Great, thanks. And he's taking lots of supplements such as electrolytes, nutritional yeast, glutamine, DNK, chlorophyll. And he has rashes on his eyelids, on his chest. And we notice it's getting worse when it's cold outside. Maybe it's coincidence, maybe not. And what would you recommend us to do?
Well, there's a couple things that I would do. I think I would, there could be some detoxing going on. So when you're burning fat fuel, you're releasing the fat and everything that's stored in the fat. And there could be some toxic things in there because a lot of the chemicals and poisons in our environment and pesticides are fat soluble, so they can get stuck in there. So you might be releasing them. In which case, on an empty stomach, while he's fasting, I would probably take bentonite clay and see if that doesn't clean it right up. Don't take a lot, just take it periodically. Bentonite clay. The other thing I would do is I would look at the type of food that he's consuming and make sure there's nothing he could be sensitive to or allergic to. Because with keto, you have nuts, you have the nightshades sometimes, well, like tomatoes anyway, and bell peppers could be a problem. And some of the vegetables you might be sensitive to lectins and even oxalates. So I would look at the foods and then also dairy as well, and you might need to make some adjustments with that.
And the other thing I thought of is that she says when it gets cold out. So
Vitamin
that also
D.
D and A, because this E's anything that affects the skin, right?
Well,
because
I think vitamin D might be more, because you're still, when it gets cold, obviously the winter, the biggest change, it's not necessarily you're not getting lower vitamin E or A, you're getting more low vitamin D. So that could be the factor right there.
And the other thing that I know happens in our house when it gets colder is it's Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we just start making more things with almond flour.
Oh, right. Good point. Good point.
It's keto, even if you're intermittent fasting, but some people may react to an increase of a certain kind of food if you're having a certain kind of food.
Good question. Very good question, Karen. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, well, Thomas on YouTube asked if keto and IF can help a person relax.
I'm a little fidgety. No, it's good. Yes, keto can, what happens, people think keto is stressful. No, it's actually, it lowers the stress in the body. It brings the mood up. It helps to supply, especially if you're doing the healthy version, a better macronutrient supply to the tissues. But here's the real key thing. When you are doing dirty keto, or just regular foods, and you're low on the B vitamins, specifically B1, you are going to have an inability to be calm, sit still. Right, because if you're deficient in B1, that's really behind the hyperactivity disorders like AD, HD, whatever. Also, certain types of movements that, like restless leg syndrome, that's a B1 deficiency. Like the person cannot just sit there at rest. So, and there's quite a few other conditions that involve different tics and different body motions. So B1 is involved in keeping the neurotransmitters chilled out. I'm not going to give you the name of them, but just to calm the system, especially the muscles and the nerve interaction.
Mm-hmm.
So
what about niacin?
that's a B vitamin, Karen.
But it's not B1.
Right. What does that, a deficiency
But
cause?
doesn't that also, I recall reading about helping to relax or help with a mood or...
Well, schizophrenia is the big one that happens with a low B3 or niacin. Schizophrenia symptoms. So
Not
there's
that
a
you're
lot
treating
of research that taking high doses of niacin actually helps that condition. Just do a search on it. There's a whole bunch of data on it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. Rhonda, Missouri, had a question. Is there connection between OCD and diet? Okay. Let's see here. Let me just make sure that I...
It's a diagnosis.
Yeah. Go ahead. Rhonda, are you there?
Yes, actually, you kind of even touched on it already with the schizophrenia, but I was noticing there's not a lot of talk on OCD, schizophrenia, and manic depression, but specifically I'm asking about OCD, what you know about it and how it's connected to diet and what can be done to help.
Well, let me
And then
just...
I guess if
go ahead.
I may well, there was another thing that was said, and I don't know if there's truth to it or not, if you will allow me to do a second question. Someone told me that if you do keto diet and you get off of it, that your body is more likely to hold on to fat, kind of like a caveman syndrome, that if it gets thinking there's a fast, then it will be more difficult to lose weight each time you eat because
Okay,
it'll hold
so-
on to it tighter.
so-
Is that truth to that?
Anyone that says that to you, I want you to do me a favor. Ask them, who told you that? And see what they say. They're going to go, well, I read it in, I don't know where I read it. I saw it somewhere on the news. You know, it's like random.com out there. It's like, what's the source of it? It doesn't make sense. So if you go off keto, then now all of a sudden it's going to ruin your metabolism or slow it down. No, it's, of course you need to stay on it, but that's just completely false information.
Well, with someone that's had exhaustive trials that going back and forth, I can assure you, in my case, it works every time. When I behave and eat properly, my mood improves, my weight drops off exactly the same way every time. So I would, from my personal experience, denounce such rumors.
It's just so funny because you hear all and these are legitimate questions. You hear this, but if I had time, I would like to go, who told you that? And we'd find out it's some interesting source, like a neighbor told you or something like that. But I want to just answer the question that she had, which is related to
A medical diagnosis.
OCD. Yeah, that's definitely, I don't have anything related to giving any suggestion on doing any type of treatment of any diseases. But here's what I will say. Get on healthy keto and intermittent fasting and just see what happens, because you're going to fulfill so many different deficiencies, and you're going to replace the fuel source with ketones, which is much healthier, and chances are you'll probably do a lot better. But I would recommend taking a lot of nutritional yeast and B vitamins for anything related to that condition. Try it out, see if it works for you. Okay? Did you want to say something about that?
No, I think, people call in with conditions that are medical diagnoses, and obviously we can't respond to the specific treating of that or addressing of that, but the bottom line is that your research and this channel is all about getting onto keto and intermittent fasting to help your body handle imbalances and deficiencies and metabolism issues that cause all kinds of symptoms that then other people look at and slap a diagnosis on. So everything goes down to, are you really doing keto and intermittent fasting? It doesn't matter what your diagnosis is, be it more of a mental or a mood condition or a physical condition.
For those of you that are new, we're trying to shift this model from symptom treating to creating health. Try to treating disease versus creating health. So we're all about creating health, putting in the basics. And what we're finding is like the need for treating symptoms goes way down when you do that. It's that simple.
Right.
It seems stupid simple, but we have to cover it.
Right. I mean, when you go somewhere to anyone and say, I have a blah, and they give you a label for it, there is usually a really specific handling that's done in that realm. Okay, sometimes you need that, and you do what you got to do, and you make your decision, and you do your homework, and you take responsibility for what you're going to do. But in this other model, there usually is never a, well, what are you eating? What is your lifestyle like that could be contributing to that? And that's the hole that's filled here.
That's right. Okay, so I was just going to take a call from Sean, but he disappeared.
Sean.
So do you have a question?
Yeah. Can milk, from your experience, create acne?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of, milk, and cheese, and other products is designed to help grow a calf, and so this baby cow. And so there's all these hormonal factors going on, so you're taking a lot of hormonal factors, not to mention sometimes the added hormones, but it can definitely influence your hormones in a big way, your endocrine system, and cause acne and all sorts of things. I am very cautious about the type of dairy that I consume. It has to be organic, because I don't want the grains. I don't want GMO grains. It has to be grass-fed. And then even then, I would like to get cheese that from Europe that's actually comes from cows that are on the Swiss Alps, or that are made
He's
in
picky.
a cave.
He's picky.
For like a few years. I just like that. So, but then, and that being said, I don't have a lot of cheese, but I don't do processed cheese and the dips and stuff, because you're just like, it's a crapshoot. You don't know what you're getting. Okay. Krista from Dallas, Texas, had a question about something. So let me just, are you there, Krista?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Hi. Yes, I had, well, if at all possible, I have two very short questions. They're not related. My first one was, is it possible to get into ketosis if you're taking the prescription phentermine? And if you have time, the second question is, what do you recommend for urinary tract infection?
Okay. Did you hear the
Two
last?
medical
did you hear the last
points.
Yeah, here's the cure. This is what you want to do. Now,
Here's the cure.
A couple things. I do not know about the relationship between the medication you're taking, if it's going to knock you out of ketosis. I would get a ketone tester, so either urine or blood, and test yourself to see what it does to your ketones. Now, as far as the UTIs go, I'm just going to talk about the food relation part, what I would do. I actually have videos on it you could watch, but I hope you are doing, first of all, intermittent fasting, because that's going to beef up, no pun intended, your immune system, and it's going to drop inflammation, and it's going to help your body fight off things a lot better. There's all these specific remedies you can take. Honestly, they may or may not work until you get the basics in there, because if you have any type of microbial imbalance in your body, you definitely need to get the sugar out of the diet and go low carb, especially when you're dealing with yeast, candida, fungus, mold, and even bacteria. So I would bring your carbs way down to starve off these microbes, and I would probably also increase the friendly bacteria in your body, and then get these basics in, and I think that's what I would do if I were you. Yeah. So that way I stay out of the medical model. Thanks for your question. All right, Karen.
I have a good one.
Good.
How much sugar should we consume when we cannot avoid it?
How much sugar we should consume
if
we can't avoid it?
Woodchuck.
Okay, if you can't avoid it, then make sure you don't consume over 27 grams. Now, okay, so you have the carbs, right? Mm-hmm. And that should be between 20 and 50 grams. Okay. But when we're dealing with sugars, we want to keep those 0.
Right.
But if you can avoid it,
You can or you cannot.
You cannot,
you
then go as
cannot.
low as possible. But if you're buying an ingredient, like let's just take chocolate, for example. I mean, look at the serving size and then the total, and you could see real quickly that, oh, you mean this whole bar isn't 24 grams? That's just per like little tiny little section.
Serving, right.
So you're like, wow, this is very concentrated. So I will say though, if you do sugar and you go, I mean, above like 2 grams, I do know that you're going to start getting hungry because you're going to start increasing the blood sugar. And
that's the real issue. If you think you can't avoid sugar, it just means your body, you're not doing keto, and your body is whacked out and craving.
Yeah, I actually.
It's not like you have a unique situation.
I hope people will actually go. Sometimes I think they should go off the program just to experiment to see how it works, see how you feel, see if it's worth it, and then prove it to yourself. So you are not being like going off of like my advice, but you're going off of things that you've experienced yourself. You know what works, what doesn't, and that way no one has to convince you of the next diet that comes up.
Right. Now the thing is, if you haven't actually gone on it, so if you say I can't avoid all sugar, I just can't. Well, you've never actually been in ketosis. So, you know, there are videos out there on how to eliminate cravings. So watch those videos and do that, and make sure you do that for a couple of weeks. And then you can go off it and see how your body feels. But
yeah, it's like
it's just a symptom.
The way to get rid of cravings is go on keto.
Yeah.
It's like, oh. So Kate, you're on the line. You're from St. Louis. You had a question about blood pressure. Are you there?
Yes. So, yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
perfectly.
Okay. So high blood pressure runs my family. My mother has it. And so I've been tracking it for the last 3 months. The top number's been 110 to 125, bottom number 82 to 88. But in November, I noticed, well, the only thing different, I normally eat OMAD or 18.6, and I'm vegan. I ate a little bit more sugar. I went into my yearly doctor appointment and mentioned this to my doctor, and I'm like, well, the only thing that changed was the sugar intake. And she goes, sugar doesn't affect your blood pressure, and she doesn't want to put me on blood pressure medicine until it's 140 or 90 consistently. So my question is, does sugar affect your blood pressure, and could I lower my blood pressure by being keto? I don't know too much in detail. I'm learning about keto.
Okay, good.
But if so, could I do keto long term as a lifestyle?
Okay, good question, Katie. Let me just explain something right off the bat, okay? Are you sitting down?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Write this down on some paper. Just take notes.
Keto for life.
When you consume sugar or glucose, whatever, you have to realize that almost 3 grams of water, attaches to 1 gram of glucose. So in other words, glucose is a water-attracting sponge-like substance. So you're going to be holding a lot more fluid in the body, which is going to increase blood pressure. Also, the glucose is going to deplete your potassium level. And what's going to happen if you have low potassium is your blood pressure is going to go up. So all you have to do is do a very simple experiment. Go low carb, check your blood pressure, come right down. Do healthy keto, which a lot of potassium, okay? And then it'll come down. Then go ahead and start eating more sugar, and it goes up. And do that like several times over the next 2 months so you can prove it to yourself. It's the best thing to do for long-term health. So yes, you want to maintain it. But in November, what happens in November through March is you have this lack of sun, vitamin D levels go down, and low vitamin D also causes high blood pressure. So if you do a combination between keto, low carb, and vitamin D, I think you'll be very happy. Okay? So that's what I would do if I were you. Did I answer that in a way that was didn't mention diseases?
I don't know.
I'm trying.
Okay. So first of all, someone has asked several times, can I have dates on keto? I think the answer to that is find out what the sugars are in dates.
You can go on a date. Yeah, absolutely.
Go on a date.
If you're in keto.
Dates are awesome. They mean the food.
Oh, the food. Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, it's just too high in sugar.
But don't listen to us. Check out on the package how many sugar, what quantity of sugar is in dates.
But someone's going to reply, they're going to say, well, it's in nature, so we were designed to consume food in nature, right?
Right. Well, you can have sugars in foods that there isn't, it says no added sugar, meaning, you know, nobody put a cup of sugar in there, and foods naturally have sugar. So sugar is sugar is sugar.
Yeah, the point is that the problem is like if you were not eating a lot of sugar and you ate a date here and there and you didn't have any insulin resistance, which is very rare, and you're probably not going to be on this planet, then a couple dates here and there are going to be fine, but we just don't recommend them because it's going to bump you out of ketosis.
Yeah, it does depend on your situation. Some people, actually we have a good number of people every week that ask questions regarding, they don't need to lose any weight. They're at their ideal scene. Their labs are great. They feel wonderful. They want to maintain. That's a completely different situation.
That's a correct statement. That's a correct statement.
Right. Now, here's something else. Here's a question about micronutrients. Can micronutrient deficiencies cause left shoulder or chest pain?
Absolutely.
And why?
Well, first of all, you need these nutrients to keep the heart working, especially to prevent angina. One of the most important micronutrients to prevent angina is vitamin E. Not just the synthetic version, like the whole complex, because vitamin E deficiencies decrease the available oxygen in the heart tissue, and it starts to cramp. That's just one mechanism. It also prevents the breakdown of the inside of the lining of your arteries that then comes the plaquing and the cholesterol. So enough vitamin E keeps your heart working and prevents angina.
So where would you get a good dose of vitamin E daily?
Well, vitamin E comes from the leafy greens. So enough greens is going to be very important. If you want to take it as a supplement, make sure you get also tocotrienols and tocopherols together, the whole ball of wax.
The whole
yeah.
Tocophenol.
But vitamin E is like, it's very, very important, and refined carbohydrates deplete your vitamin E big time. So that's just one mechanism right there. But I am going to be doing a video today, Karen, on the difference, how you differentiate between heartburn and heart attack symptoms, because they're almost identical.
Wow.
So like, I'm having a heart attack, do I have heartburn? If you guys would like to know more about that video, let us know.
Okay, cool. And then it's interesting, today there's two things to know, and I'm starting to say this every week, that we don't have moderators on these channels for Facebook and YouTube. So if people on the channel are answering your questions and you find them helpful, that's fantastic. And some of them may watch a million Dr. Berg videos, but they're not our moderators, and they're not from Dr. Berg.
Hey, Helen, you're calling from Denmark. You had a question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Berg. Can you hear me well?
Perfectly.
All right. Well, thank you. So I wanted to also thank you both for all your work, because it has helped me personally and in my nutrition coaching work. And I'm much more efficient thanks to applying the data of your videos.
Great.
Awesome.
So now my questions. Great. Now my questions, and I have many, so I will call back, so, every week. But anyway, regarding the sodium-potassium ratio, you mentioned a few times that one needs to use 4 times the potassium compared to sodium.
Yep.
And you said one needs about 1 teaspoon of salt, which per chronometer equals to 2,357 milligrams of sodium.
Right.
So that brings,
Yeah.
So that brings the potassium to almost 10 grams of potassium a day. But 10 cups of Kelp, for example, doesn't go above 1 gram of potassium based on chronometer.
Yep. I knew you were going to ask that question. Because the math doesn't come out, does it? Yeah, because either I'm very bad at math, or it could be that I need to explain a little bit more about it. And I think you know the answer.
Right.
I'm very bad at math, but let me explain
No.
what you're trying to what you're asking. Okay. So Helen, Because you need 4,700 milligrams minimally to achieve your potassium, and then it's like the sodium is 2,300, okay? So that's what you need. So if you look at that ratio right there, wow, that's not a 4-to-1 ratio, because you need more than that. And the answer is that a long time ago, like our body, and I actually did a video on this, I can't remember which one it is, but our bodies were, when our bodies were actually originally eating in the diet that we're on, we consumed like something like 11,000 milligrams of potassium, like a tremendous amount. So those ratios are pretty high. If you take an average person right now in the United States especially, they have insulin resistance. So they're not going to, even if they did 4,700, it's not going to really go in that well because they can't absorb potassium. So, and if you take someone with like rheumatoid arthritis, same thing, they need a lot more. People that that have more inflammation, that have more stress, they need more potassium. So when I say 4-to-1, that's what you're never going to get it. But if you could shoot for a lot more potassium, then you're in the right ballpark. Also, people are just so heavy on sodium and low on potassium. You know, we need to correct this ratio. So sometimes you have to go a lot more, and it is almost impossible to do with diet alone. So that's when you have to supplement. Realize too, those 10 cups of vegetables don't even equal 4,700. So I recommended that so you can also add that to the other foods that you're eating. So even like a steak, for example, has 300 milligrams of potassium. So there's potassium in other foods. So if you add that all up, you may get a little bit closer. But if you have a certain health condition, you want to really raise up your potassium a lot more, and you will feel a lot better. Good question, though. All right, Karen?
Yeah.
What do we got?
Two really basic things. So we've had a couple of questions on both sides here about doing keto and, oh, my friends are making me nervous or making me afraid because I'll lose weight after or I'll gain weight when I get off keto, or I'll gain more fat, or will I stop burning fat, or will it be harder to burn fat when I go off of keto?
Well, what you're missing is that it's not a short-term little thing
diet
to lose weight and then you stop and then you gain the weight back. It's basically the correct way that someone should eat the rest of their lives.
Yeah, it's not a diet.
And if you just do this one little simple thing, just go to drberg.com. There's a big button that says Success, and start flipping through that, because we have literally close to 1,000, or actually over 1,000 right now, videos. You can scroll down and just start reading those and seeing the results. Your friends that are discouraging you just don't understand what keto is. In fact, if you don't believe me, just ask them, what's your definition of keto? And they're going to say, well, ketoacidosis, or isn't it a diabetic condition? They don't know what it is. And so don't take advice from people that don't understand the basics on the topic they're giving you an opinion about.
Right, and the whole purpose of this channel is so that you get educated. And if you go to drberg.com, there is a tab at the top. I think now it's called free something, free resources or free whatever. But it's a list of videos for beginners. And even if you don't consider yourself a beginner, but you're having these kinds of questions, I really encourage you to go and watch those videos over again.
And don't tell your friends you're doing it.
Yeah,
just do it and see for yourself.
And it is not a diet. It is not a diet to go on until a certain point and go off, because it's the standard American diet that created the majority of issues that you're having and trying to handle. Why would you do that again?
There's a lot of people that are on social media right now that are basically very new to keto. See, I just assume everyone knows about it, but they don't. So just to give you guys some data, we're so used to the diet model that you go on a diet and go off. And real quick, and then I'm going to go to these questions. There's I had this guy call me up. He said, Dr. Berg, your diet doesn't work. I said, really? Yeah.
Your diet.
I did it for 2 weeks. I lost the weight. I went off of it, but I gained the weight back. I thought it was supposed to fix my weight problem. I'm like, oh, I think I must have severely undereducated you on a couple facts about that, because it's like this is something you need to do long term. It's not a quick fix, and going off, you're going to develop the same problems if you go off of it. You are going to get fat, and you're going to have problems.
Right. I think for anybody that has these questions, in addition to the videos, just go onto the website and get the hardback book, which you have a copy of here. Get the hardback book, and it comes with a free, smaller companion guide. These are really helpful ways, but it is the text, it is the data on it, and you have to get educated on this, or you're going to be influenced.
This is really good.
You're going to get discouraged.
This is an hour you can get through it. You get it free when you get this book right here.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I don't really even talk about the book a lot, but all the answers are in here. I think it'd be beneficial if you really want to be successful.
To do it. If you want to do this and you really want to understand, and you know, Dr. Berg's here to answer all kinds of questions all the time, but probably 90% of the questions are answered in that book, and he wrote that so that you can have that in your hands all the time. So.
Yeah, and Dr. Berg gave me a guarantee. He said, Steve, it doesn't work. We'll gladly refund your misery.
All your misery. I will give you misery.
Yeah, and if
all you want.
So all the advice that we're giving, if it doesn't work, we'll give you your money back. Oh, that's right. It was free. Oh. Hey, Ida, you're calling. You had a question. Are you there? From Miami? Ida Bell?
Yes.
Hi.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Yes, I have done your program for like a year. I lost 40 pounds. I do it exactly the same. Exactly. I have seen every single video. I'm very, very excited about that. And the thing is that lately I have had hypoglycemia. My blood sugar has been too low. And then now I have to eat twice a day because I have done OMAD for almost all this time. And now I have my blood sugar is too low.
Hey, I have a question for you.
I don't know.
I have a question for you. Do you feel bad when your blood sugar is too low or not?
Yes. Yes.
You feel bad?
Yes.
Like, what are the symptoms?
I have blurred vision.
Okay.
I don't have concentration.
Okay. Okay, so in this case, I think what's going on is that you still have a bit of insulin resistance, and your liver might be making too much glucose. It's called gluconeogenesis, and that could be triggering insulin to bring it down, especially if your carbs are real low and you still have hyperglycemia. As you start fixing this, it has to be something going on in your body. I'm also guessing you watch a lot of the videos, you're probably doing enough potassium, things like that. But what I would do if I were you is I would try doing a little bit, I would try my keto essential amino acids, and the reason I like that is because those amino acids are wonderful to counter hypoglycemia without increasing insulin, especially because you're utilizing 99% of that for repair and replacement of the tissues. So in the morning, for example, when I'm fasting, I take 4 of those, and they're amino acids, and it's not like having protein, it's the basic building blocks of protein, and I really like that, especially for muscle development. I've gained a lot more muscle from that, and also just blood sugar stabilization in general. So go for the amino acids instead of the carbs, okay, if you have hypoglycemia. But thanks for your call. All right, Karen.
Daryl, you probably wouldn't get this. Hello from the keto side. I must have peed 1,000 times. Has anybody ever, the Adele song? Anyway, Daryl, I think that's hysterical, and I would sing that, but I'm not gonna. Okay, so here's somebody who asked sort of a beginner question, but I think it really is worth repeating. Explain the difference between carbohydrates and sugar, because there's tons of food carbohydrates. Vegetables are carbohydrates.
Yeah.
So there's some that you have to avoid and some you don't avoid, and one acts like sugar, one doesn't. What's up with that?
The category of carbohydrates, it covers starchy carbohydrates like potato, things like that, and then and like corn, which I don't even consider a vegetable. And then you get down to like celery, which is very fibrous, like non-starchy, more fiber carbohydrate. And that's what you want to stick with, simply because the more concentrated a carbohydrate is with glucose, the higher it spikes your insulin. So we're trying to do carbohydrates that don't spike the insulin, vegetables. And straight sugar is going to spike the blood glucose. So very simply, low glycemic carbohydrates. Low carbohydrates that don't spike your blood sugar.
And so how are they going to know that? So what does that mean? That's
Stick with the vegetables, okay? And that way,
but
we're not recommending fruit.
That's potatoes, sweet potatoes,
No, we're
yams,
not talking about starchy vegetables,
turnips,
or rice, or any of the starches. So
grains.
rice, okay, do vegetables minus the potato, the rice, and the corn.
And the grains.
Well, that's a grain, not a...
Right, but...
It's a carbohydrate.
It's a carbohydrate.
So avoid the grains. You need to know at least a little bit more.
Give me that book.
Yeah, you look it up, Karen, and I'm going to...
It's in here. It's in here. And you know what else, too? If you go to drberg.com, there are tons of free downloads.
That's true.
Free downloads that are images of all kinds of things, sample meals, foods you can eat. So go to drberg.com, find those free downloads, and you'll have tons of examples if you're confused about it. And then when you get this healthy keto plan book on drberg.com, you get this little booklet, which also gives you tons of examples. And I'm trying to find the page, but it's tons of examples. So there you have it.
This week, I'll be doing videos on the difference between a heart attack and heartburn as far as symptoms go.
Oh, everybody's saying yes, please.
Okay, good. I'm also going to be talking about when not to take bile salts, okay, bile. I'm also going to be talking about HDL. There's two types of so-called bad cholesterol. LDL, not HDL, LDL. There's two types, and you need to understand this if you have any concern about cholesterol. We're going to be talking about the two types of LDL. Very, very interesting and very simple to understand. I'm going to also talk about dehydration, a lot more on that, and how that relates to salt, potassium, and it's going to be that you've probably never heard this before, so stay tuned for that. And that's just going to be just today. I'm going to do videos on that. Okay.
You're busy.
Now, we're going to go to Denise from Irvine, California. Are you there?
Hi. Yes. Hi, Dr. Berg and
Hi.
Karen. Thank you for all your videos. I wish I can enroll in your university. I have a quick question.
You can.
Would you recommend a good pillow? Yeah. There are so many pillows on Amazon. There's $10, $100, and different type of material. Could you recommend a good pillow that's good for stiff necks and neck support and head support and things like that? Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I would honestly invest as much money as you can afford in a pillow, a good pillow, because you do not want to buy a cheap pillow. And I would not get one online. I would actually go to a store and test them out on yourself because everyone's different. I like the fluffy, larger ones. I do not like the smaller ones. So.
And I love the thinner, smaller feather because when I sleep, I often, on my back, don't use a pillow at all.
Right.
So I just use it in different ways.
And we have no brands that we're going to recommend, but I would just test it out yourself and get an expensive one because you spend a third of your life in bed. So might as well invest in a good pillow, right? All right, Karen. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
Okay, good.
I can ask you one.
Lulu from London had a question. Oh, London, Ontario. Can my husband do keto with his high blood pressure? Good question. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi, how are you?
Hi, good.
Okay, I'm myself keto, been like for 6 months, and I had high blood pressure plus the pre-diabetic. So I lowered it by being looking at your videos, and thank you for that. So I lowered, and I'm keto friendly now, and I'm doing awesome. Now my question is for my husband. He came home 3 days ago with a severe headache and bloodshot in his eyes. we checked his blood pressure, and it was 182 to 124. And I do the bone broth as well. So he doesn't want to take any prescription, so I told him to do these, the bone broth and no eat, no nothing.
Yeah.
For 3 days, and today is his third day. It went down from 182 to 150 the second day. Today he was 142.90.
Okay.
But he's gonna start eating, which is his third day. He wanted to eat. He's doing awesome. He has no headaches, but I don't know how to start to give him.
Question I have is he doing keto or not?
No, I'm just forced him today with the bone broth. I said restart your body.
Yeah. The bone broth, believe it or not, the bone broth is it's okay, but it's not a complete amino acid profile. So we're getting a little bit of it incomplete. It will provide some of the fuel for his body if that's what you want to do, but I don't think that's going to be something that I would recommend as the big thing that's going to turn him around. He really needs to look at the big idea of why he has high blood pressure in the first place and realize that high glucose in the body or insulin resistance creates stiffening of the arteries. And so it makes your arteries hardened. So I would get him on keto and IF, and that will ultimately decrease the need for any medication down the road. I would definitely do that, but the two no-brainer nutrients for blood pressure in general while you're on keto is vitamin D and potassium. But thanks for your question. All right, Karen.
Yeah.
Do we have some?
Yeah. If someone has tingling and numbness in the feet,
yeah,
would keto and IF help that, and why?
Well, when you're on a high-carb diet, you're depleting B1. You're depleting B1 in a big time. And B1 deficiency, you start getting nerve atrophy. You start getting neuritis. You start damaging or actually you lose the protective factor against the little blood vessels that feed the nerve. So the nerves die. That's why you get peripheral neuropathy, you get neuritises, and it affects the brain. You start getting confused, you start having memory loss, Alzheimer's. So what they need to do is get on keto, take nutritional yeast for the bees, but if you want to see something even more miraculous, actually add benfotiamine to that. That's a fat-soluble B1, and that just goes right in there and just goes, it handles the deficiency, and the nerves come back if it's not within too far gone.
Now, you bring up a really interesting point, or it made me think of a really interesting point. So you have a symptom in a certain part of your body. Say it's the feet, right? Well, I have something in my feet. I have something in my shoulder. I have something in my joint. I have something in my wherever, right? The idea is generally that is where the problem is.
Right.
Only.
Right.
Right? I got to handle my feet. I have a foot problem.
Right.
I don't know that people generally take it past that. I mean, the problem is never just in one area of the body. You may be having a louder symptom in one area of the body, but it's like taking an aspirin for your headache. It doesn't just go to your head.
Right.
It's not just affecting your head.
Well, diabetes affects 4 areas of your body mainly, and that's the eyes, the nervous system, which includes your brain, and throughout the whole body, and your kidneys, and your heart. So it doesn't really affect your spleen or well, it does, but these are the 4 main tissues.
The main things that you'll see.
Yeah.
But my point is it's a systemic problem because your symptom is loudest in one area. It doesn't mean that's the only place you have a problem.
Right. That's right.
I just thought of that. I thought I would share it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Terry had a question from Minnesota. Okay. Go ahead, Terry. Are you there?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi there, Dr. Berg and Karen.
Hello.
You guys are amazing, by the way. Just wanted to say that and give you guys a plug. I've learned a lot from you.
Thank you.
My question today is about kidney stones. I have watched all the videos, but I think just getting clarification from you would be very helpful. If a person is prone to develop uric acid kidney stones, I have been tested and they found out it was uric acid. And so being on keto and intermittent fasting, what is the best way to keep your body from not preventing preventing uric acid stones, because they want to put me on allopurinol. And I know you don't want to talk about medications, but I know that that's just an acid reducer, and I don't want to go on that. So is there supplement or the best way nutritionally to be able to handle my body not producing so much uric acid? And why do you produce uric acid when you're on keto?
Well, first of all, uric acid acts like an antioxidant. So when you're on keto, especially intermittent fasting, your uric acid goes up as one of the things that helps you in various ways, because it has an antioxidant effect. That's why. Now, these crystals come out of solution and start building up either as a stone or as gout if there's low citrates in your body, and also if your pH is too acidic. And since ketones are a little bit more acidic, that can aggravate someone who has a weakness or making too much uric acid. Uric acid is a breakdown of protein. It goes through different levels. But most of the uric acid, if you have a tendency to get uric acid, comes from the kidney's inability to get rid of it properly. It's holding it. And that usually can come from like pre-existing kidney damage, or as a kid, maybe you ate the wrong foods and you kind of create a weakness within your kidney. So that's probably where it's coming from. But there's some really cool things you can do to counter these stones. Number one, keep your fluids very high. And I'm talking about minimally 2.5 liters of water a day. That's going to actually keep it from getting super saturated. So right there, that's going to help you the most. Secondly, I would take on a regular basis potassium citrate. That's going to alkalize the urine enough. And you can get, there's some really good, check with your doctor, urine profile where they're checking all these little factors for your urine. And it's usually related to kidney stones, but it checks like your ox levels, your uric levels, your fluid, and you actually, you measure your urine for a day, and then you send in the amount of urine, or actually just a sample of it. You just record how much you urinated. You send it in, they analyze everything, and you can do that periodically to see if your values are within normal level or if your uric acid is still high, in which case you would have to drink more water, more citrate, more potassium citrate to help balance your pH. You could even do probably sodium bicarbonate, which is kind of an alkalizer like from baking soda while you're fasting to help counter that. So those are some things that you can do, but I have a lot of videos on kidney stones, and that should give you enough data. Thanks for your call. All right.
Yeah, I have some questions here.
Yeah.
Briefly, someone can't take protein in the day like you recommend because apparently thickening of the blood. I don't know how you would find that out.
Okay.
I
think
very thick, and it affected the eyes?
I think they're talking about Rouleau, which is a condition that does create sticky blood.
Okay.
But I think you'd be okay on amino acids, like the keto essential amino acids, because you're only getting like a 1% waste compared to regular protein, which is a lot of waste, and none of it turns into fuel as glucose. But if you've tried that and you still have a problem, I would just avoid those proteins in general right now while you're fasting and not have any protein. I mean, but most people will do fine on that. But I will say that sticky blood also comes from consuming the combination of sugar with or having your sugar high and then taking protein. That's very bad.
Okay. So if you couldn't get nutritional yeast at all, locally or whatever, what would be a good substitute?
You can get, because it's hard to find a natural bee, but you could get it from sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds have a good amount of B1. Yeah, but it's difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's assuming you can't buy the nutritional yeast online or go to a health food store. Well, they said
they can't take nutritional yeast.
No, can't find.
Oh, we have it.
I mean, we have it, but if there's somewhere in the world where they can't get it. But I mean, you can find nutritional yeast at a lot of stores, but if you are, so if you can't get it, then
you could find it.
Sunflower seeds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. David from Dallas, Texas, had a question. Dave, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi.
So my question is about medical marijuana.
Yeah.
And if you're using medical marijuana, how's that going to affect, your keto diet? And what's the response as far as hormonally that your body's going to have?
Yeah. Honestly, I think I don't have enough data to give you as far as what it does with ketosis. I don't recommend it. If you have pain or some type of glaucoma or whatever you're taking it for, vitamin D works great. But yeah, I don't have enough data to really answer that. I'm sorry. But you'll have to kind of do your own research. I don't know how it affects insulin at all. Thanks, Dave. Okay.
Okay, I had more questions, but we're over time.
Guys, have a wonderful weekend. We will see you next week.
Will we? It's getting awfully close to Christmas.
Yeah, next week.
Okay.
All right, have a good one. See ya.
We'll wear our ugly sweaters.
You'll wear your ugly sweater.